Hello everyone. Today we will show an example of creating a logical sequence using the main functions of Greenfee Sales. Let's get started. We go to the automation section, click on create new automation, give it a name, adjust the working days and hours if necessary, as well as the time zone, after which we proceed to the editing page. First we choose the sender profile from which the mailing will be sent and plan the next step. Typically this is sending a request to connect. At this stage we will conduct an A/B test to be able to send two variants of the connection. For example, with text and without it, we enter the message text. The essence of the content does not matter right now. The main goal is to show how the system works, so we write something simple. For example, let's set a variable named Lida here. I noticed that you work at, and we set a variable for the company name Lida. All other variables in the text work in this way. After this, we must add a trigger to check the acceptance of the connect. And here we can also add social activities to remind about ourselves and determine the waiting time. First, we set a few days. Then we add a visit to Lida's profile and add a waiting period, usually around 2 to 3 weeks. Done. After this, we form a rule that splits the further branch in case of rejection and in case of approval of the request. Let's first follow the positive scenario. If our connect is accepted, we set a waiting period of 1 day or a few hours, depending on the context. We do this so that the next message does not go out at the same second, as it would look suspicious to the person on the other side of the monitor. Now we add a block to send the next message. To avoid inventing the message text right now, we'll just use numbers. We'll put a 1 here. The next step is to set a check for a response. How do we do it for ourselves? If the lead does not respond within a few days, then activity goes to their profile. For example, liking a post, a day of pause, confirming skills. You can choose how many skills to confirm, but we don't recommend doing too many, so it doesn't look strange. 1 or 2 is usually enough, and we set a couple more days of pause to give the contact time to respond. If there is still no response, then after these actions, the next message is sent to them. We will put the number 2 in the text field here. If the lead responds, in this case, our automation stops and manual communication with a live person takes over. However, you can set another action that you deem necessary in case of a lead's response. Now let's consider the case if our contact request was not accepted. In that case, we cannot write to the person on LinkedIn, but if they have a verified email, we can try to write there. So we go back up and after the trigger to check the connection, under the no connect block, we set the withdraw connection request function to prevent an unnecessary request from lingering on our profile, and then we add a letter. We do not invent the text either. Instead, we simply put numbers to allow the block to be saved. The variables here work the same as in other blocks, and it is important for us to show the mechanics. Now we add the trigger, check for response again. We set the first time interval, and if there is no response, we send another email. For example, we do not want to continue the correspondence in the thread created by the first email, but we want to try an email with a different subject. We deactivate the switch and write our subject and email here again. Ultimately, the automation ends either because the lead has responded to us or because the logical sequence has ended. And when your sequence is created and you are ready to launch it into operation, the automation needs to be activated. This can be done either directly in the editing window by toggling the switch at the top, or on the page with the general list of automations, by finding the same switch in that location. This is just one of the standard examples of building automation solely to show you the mechanics of the actions. In your campaign, you can test and use various tools, features, and strategies and techniques. That's all from me.